Sometimes a single tragic event can put an entire country's system on trial. And that's exactly what's happening in Nigeria right now. We're going to dive into this story of profound personal loss and the urgent national reckoning it's kicked off. At the very heart of this, it's a deeply personal story. It's about a family's devastating loss of a child. But this has ballooned so far beyond one family's grief, it's forcing a really difficult conversation about justice, accountability, and the very survival of healthcare in Nigeria. Okay, so let's just lay out the basic facts. How did we get here? On January 7, 2026, the 21-month-old son of the celebrated author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie tragically died. Just days later, a massive lawsuit was filed, and the government launched an investigation. Everything unfolded with just breathtaking speed.
And that, of course, brings us to the legal response, a demand for accountability on a scale that is frankly unprecedented.
Get this. The family is suing the hospital for 2.9 billion naira. That is a staggering figure, right? A number like that immediately grabbed the whole nation's attention, and it really signaled just how serious the family's claims were.
So where does a number that huge even come from? Well, this chart breaks it down. You see claims for damages, family trauma, legal fees, the things you might expect. But the part that really stands out is this claim for projected lost income, 10 million naira every month until 2042. It's a heartbreaking attempt to put a number on the immense potential of a life that was cut way, way too short.
But look, this isn't just about the money. Not at all. The lawsuit is built on these incredibly specific and serious allegations of medical failure. The family claims there wasn't proper monitoring, that the hospital wasn't prepared for an emergency, and that basic standard protocols were just ignored. As a result, the anesthesiologist on the case has been suspended. These allegations, they paint a really grim picture of a catastrophic breakdown in care.
But just as this wave of public outcry for justice was building, a prominent doctor stepped forward with an urgent warning, and he offered a completely different take from inside the system.
And this is where things get really complicated. It forces us to ask a tough question. In a system that's already so fragile, could the fight for justice for one family actually end up threatening the health of everyone else?
Dr. Richard Akayoki used some really powerful language to describe what could happen. He called it a healthcare tsunami. He's basically arguing that this case isn't just a ripple in a pond, it could be the wave that crashes over the entire system and causes it to collapse.
And his fears aren't just vague worries. He's talking about a specific domino effect. He's worried that massive lawsuits like this could cripple hospitals with debt and scare away investors who are desperately needed. And maybe even more alarmingly, he's suggesting that doctors might get so scared of being sued that they start turning away high-risk patients. That would be devastating for the public.
And that is why this case has hit such a raw nerve across the country. It's like it ripped a bandage off a wound that's been festering for a very, very long time.
And just look at these numbers. They really put the crisis into perspective. Nigeria has one doctor for every 6,000 patients. The World Health Organization says the bare minimum should be one for every 600. So we're talking 10 times worse than the recommendation. The system isn't just strained, it is at its absolute breaking point. You see, a tragedy like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's a symptom of these deep, long-standing problems. When you have gaps in oversight and you don't have the infrastructure for critical care, a routine procedure can become a crisis. And when you add weak enforcement of the rules, well, you end up with what we have now, a public that's losing faith in the system. And that mistrust, it's just pouring fuel on this fire. So all of this, it brings the entire nation to a crossroads. It's a true moment of reckoning, right? Where the undeniable need for justice is crashing right into the very real fear of systemic collapse.
So, this is the dilemma at the heart of it all. On one side, you have this powerful, righteous push for accountability, the idea that families deserve justice and that lawsuits can actually force hospitals to improve. But on the other side, you have this stark warning that the same push could trigger that tsunami, crippling a fragile system and ultimately hurting everyone.
But it's really important to say this. Dr. Okoye wasn't just spreading doom and gloom. He wasn't only sounding the alarm. In the very same breath, he offered a little bit of hope, a belief that, yeah, the challenges are immense, but progress is possible and the nation will get it right someday. And so we're left with this huge, complicated question. And honestly, there are no easy answers. As Nigeria goes through this painful, pivotal moment, it's a question the whole country has to confront. How do you find a way to heal? How do you balance justice for one person with the survival of the system for everyone?